Hello, my name is Sarah, and I'm an aspiring writer. I love to talk about writing, I love to talk about books. It is 5:45 in the morning, and people in my house are sleeping. This is the only time I have to film. It's just a busy week for me, so I'm going to have to be fairly quiet, and I'm going to have to be fairly quick as I talk about these books, which... let's see if I can do this. Alright, so happy March, everybody. I'm going to talk about the books I read in February. And there were a couple of themes. There were a few books I read that I was tempted to read because of TV shows and movies, a movie. I also read some books for Black History Month. I had a couple of arcs. So yeah, let's just get right into it. First up, I have An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This is the third Bridgerton book. And yes, Bridgerton, very big right now. The second part of the fourth season just aired, and which is a little trippy because this is the third book, but it's the fourth season. Yeah. When Bridgerton was first popular in, I think, 2020 or 2021, it wasn't something on my radar. It was just something I would kind of scroll past on social media. And it wasn't until season 3, the Pollen season, that I got interested. And that was because Pollen, or Penelope and Colin, their romance was friends to lovers, and that is probably my favorite romantic trope. And I would see like clips of them online from past seasons, and I just thought they were cute. So I watched the Pollen season, I then read the book. I got hooked into the show. So yeah, I then read Benedict's story, which was this most recent season. And I've got to say, I love reading these books. I love watching the show. The Bridgerton men drive me up the wall. I swear, these boys share one brain cell, and that brain cell is just horny as f. These books are dated. This one was originally published 2001. So yeah, there are going to be some things that just don't sit well with me today. But, even for 2001, there were some things that I thought were really good points. Like, I really liked that the female main character, Sophie, she really stuck to her guns about things that she believed in. I liked what they did with those themes in the show. I think they maybe even improved on that. So, yeah, not bad. Okay, Sarah, you're gonna have to be quicker than that, but the next one is Heated Rivalry, so I don't know how quick I can be. Okay. Yes, Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. This is a sports romance. It is something that just blew up back in December. I believe I discovered it in January when it was like really blowing up online by word of mouth. And it's not the time. Similarly to Bridgerton, there were just so many clips going around on Instagram, and I would watch them whenever I caught them, and I just watched so many that I basically watched the whole show through clips, minus the sexy parts, of course. Eventually, I did watch the show, and eventually I read the book, and it is pretty impressive, like, how on the nose it is, how similar book to screen is. It's a lot of things are word for word, and it's always satisfying to have that happen. I know this isn't technically the first book in the series, but I was impatient. I wanted to get to Shane and Ilya's story. And also, timeline wise, this is first, I believe. So, sue me. I will get to the first book soon. I'm just now realizing that I didn't tell you the plot for Bridgerton or Heated Rivalry, but you guys know, right? Yeah, let's just move on. The next book I read was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Movie adaptation came out February, so wanted to try this out. I also wanted to read this along with a friend who loves classics, so thought it would be fun to read and discuss with her. I think I and many other people assumed that Wuthering Heights was a tragic love story, a la Romeo and Juliet. And the movie trailer, the recent movie trailer, kind of made it out to be like that. But I was warned that I should probably get that out of my head and that it's more gothic fiction. So I was a little more prepared going into this. And yes, it is very much gothic fiction. It is very much a revenge tragedy. And I liked it. I have not seen the movie yet. I know it's gotten mixed reviews, so not sure if I'm gonna visit that, but I enjoyed the book. I'm curious as to how it'll be adapted, so maybe. We'll see. Now going into the books I read for Black History Month, starting with The Romantic Agenda by Claire Kahn. This is about a girl who is asexual and she's in love with her best friend who is also asexual. But her friend is interested in someone else, and that someone else, along with another person, these four people go on a trip. So there's this whole love square happening, and yeah, a little chaotic. But yeah, this was fun. Really summery, really breezy. Had great asexuality representation, of course. And I do think there was a lot of time spent with the friendship with the best friend rather than with the love interest. But even though I wanted more time in the love line, I still really liked this. Next is Real Love by Addie Woolridge. This book was about two teens who accompany their influencer grandmothers to a social media convention. And their grandmothers are rivals. They don't really want their kids interacting. But alas, there was a spark and they worked together to work on a project, all while trying to keep their relationship a secret from their grandmas. So, very fun. It takes place in Las Vegas, which is where I live. It was cool to see all the touristy places, but also for the characters to find kind of smaller attractions that they just enjoyed and made their own. Just another fun summary read. It was nice to read some summary books while the weather was getting a little cold. Cold for Vegas. I know the East Coast got quite a bit more of the storm than we did. Next book, When You Were Everything by Ashley Woodfolk. And this was my first time reading Ashley Woodfolk. This book was about a friend breakup, which those are stories I don't see too often, but they're ones I really like to read. One of my older projects was about friendships and about friend breakups. So I was really interested in this. It is in the then now structure. So we see what their friendship was like before, we see what leads up to the breakup, and then we see in the present day how they deal with it. And it's just really sad. Friendship breakups, they come with their own specific brand of pain. And I really appreciate that it was explored in a YA novel because I think it should be discussed more. Next, The Leaving Room by Amber McBride. This is a novel in verse, contemporary fantasy, and a sapphic romance. It was it was quite the experience. It's a very ethereal, dreamy type of read. So it's about this girl who is in what she calls the leaving room. It's where spirits come before they officially pass. So she's just welcoming these spirits who have died and letting them know what happened, comforting them a bit, and just giving them some peace before they go on their way. I love novels in verse. The writing here was beautiful, lyrical, dreamy, almost to a fault where it was kind of hard to ground myself sometimes, but I think it fit with the theme in that it almost felt like you were in this liminal space and you were floating. I don't really know how else to describe it, but just a nice change of pace. I don't read poetry too often. I just throw it in there every now and then, so I like coming back to these types of books. And then I read Blackout, written by several Black authors, and this is a novel made up of short stories, short romantic stories, kind of like Love Actually, where it's a bunch of stories put together and they're all connected. This book follows 6 couples in New York as there's a blackout and they all deal with that. I would say my favorite stories were by Danielle Clayton and Ashley Woodfolk. Danielle's took place in a library between friends to lovers, and then Ashley Woodfolk's took place in an old folks' home between 2 girls who meet and fall for each other. My problem with short story collections like these is just I want more. I just don't want these bite-sized stories. I want to see more of their romantic lives, just what goes beyond. And I know these are short stories that they're meant to be short, but how am I doing on time? Okay, gotta be quicker. So, moving on to arcs. The first one I read was Right as Rain by Tashi Bion. She's become one of my favorite YA authors. She writes really moving love stories, coming of age stories that deal with mental health. Right as Rain follows a main character who is dealing with depression, and she gets struck by lightning and is then attached to a rain cloud that rains depending on her emotions. So if she gets upset, it storms. And needless to say, that really messes up her life. There is a romance with a very cute, sunshiny boy, but I appreciate that this sunshiny boy does not cure her depression. It's something that adds a lot of joy to her life, but there's a lot more that she has to work through, and I think that's very important. The next arc was Someone to Daydream About by Sydney Langford. This was a contemporary romance following a deaf, hard of hearing girl who gets involved with a boy she's known most of her life who has become a very famous singer, part of a very famous boy band. And this singer wants to learn sign language because his sister is losing her hearing. I have seen some reviews that said this read like fan fiction that was a little too on the nose. saying that the main character seems a lot like this K-pop idol named Felix of Stray Kids. And I can't really say anything to that because I don't follow the Stray Kids. I don't know too much about them, about Felix. There are a lot of similarities, just going off the basics, but I don't know, just judging the book as it is without getting into all that, it's solid. It's really fun. I really liked the disability rep, and yeah, it was a very, very cute romance. The last arc I read was Thinky Thoughts by Gwenna Lakeland. She is most known for her social channels, Mama Cusses. She makes a lot of content about parenting, being a mom, being a millennial. They're very relatable, even though I'm not a parent. I just think she's a very funny content creator. And yeah, she's just really cool. She feels like that friend, who's had kids and who shares all those wacky stories with you. She has written a book that is more focused on parenting. I haven't read that. This is more of a straight up memoir. It has stories about her childhood, about becoming a mom, and I really enjoyed learning more about her, learning about her past, learning about how she deals with things, being a mom, and also just being, an imperfect person. Okay, and then the rest of the books, I've just got 3 more. Let's go. The next one, Improbable Meet Cute, the Second Chances collection. These are a bunch of short stories / novellas written by various romance authors. And the theme is all about second chances. My favorites were probably the ones by Christina Lauren and Hannah Bonham Young. The most interesting, I think, was by Nevessa Allen, that dealt with someone having to unbury or dig out the love interest from their grave. So that was a thing. Okay, moving on. Wrong Heart by Jennifer Hartman. Jennifer Hartman writes some dark romances that I absolutely adore. I don't read a lot of dark romances, like dark, because they can be a little too intense for me, a little too disturbing. But I think Jennifer goes to the dark places while still delivering really great, emotional, heartfelt, just ooh, just just really great, tragic love stories. But they all definitely come with an asterisk. They come with those trigger warnings, so definitely make sure you read those. This one, Wrong Heart, is about a woman who lost her husband and in a terrible accident. And her husband has his heart um, given to someone else, donated to someone else. And this woman is she's just so deep in her grief. She needs something. So she tries to reach out to the person who has her husband's heart. And something forms there. I've read a few of Jennifer's books. Some I've really loved, some that were a little too much for me. This was one that was a little too much for me, in that the male love interest was, I didn't quite click with him. I didn't quite like him. I don't know how else to, say that, but he is your typical bad boy. He carries a lot of trauma that is understandable, but because of that, he is very destructive. He doesn't treat the main character very well, and despite all the red flags, she doesn't walk away. So yeah, this book was more on the frustrating side for me. Just wasn't for me. And finally, the last book, Business Proposal, Volume 3. This is a manhwa, and it's well into the story because it's Volume 3. It follows a very rich CEO who doesn't want to get married, but his grandfather is insisting that he finds someone. So he finally just goes out on a blind date and just decides, yeah, fine, I'll marry this girl. Only that girl, let's just say she's not who she says she is. So once the guy proposes, shenanigans happen. Shenanigans to a level 10. Fun fact, in the drama adaptation of Business Proposal, the male lead, the actor, is also the actor who voiced Jinu in K-pop Demon Hunters, and he is just as swoony IRL as he is in animated form. Alright guys, those were my February reads. Sorry I was a bit rushed with this one, but please let me know if you've read any of these books, what else you've read in February. Let me know what you plan to read in March. For me, I'm trying to read more fantasy. I want to get more fantasy. And I think I'm also just reading some anticipated reads. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys about that next month. I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.